When you walk down the streets of Atlanta, you'll see a number of things. Maybe some are dressed in work attire. Others are dressed down a bit. And you'll even see bonnets. Wait, bonnet?
I wanted to know if I was the only one who noticed. So I asked the people, and I started at a barber shop.
Hi.
Hi, Terrell.
Nice to meet you, Terrell.
Absolutely.
So do you think that people should wear bonnets out of the house? If so, why? And if not, why not?
Me personally, if I'm having a bad hair day, I want to put a hat on. So I don't really judge nobody for putting a woman for putting a bonnet on if it's a bad hair day.
Okay. Have you always thought that way, or were your views shaped?
Always. I'm no judgment here. I don't know what it could be. A bad hair day, ain't rushing, gotta hurry up and catch the snow. It's so many variables to it, so I'm not.
Okay, thank you so much.
This person did not want to be recorded, but she still wanted to share her thoughts.
Okay, hi, who am I here with?
My name is Tasha.
Nice to meet you, Miss Tasha. Do you believe that people should wear bonnets out of the house? Why or why not?
Yes, and I think so because it's more comfortable.
Have you always thought that way, or have your views been shaped by something?
No, I always thought that way.
Okay. Hi, who am I here with? Hi, this is Chelsea. Hi, nice to meet you, Chelsea. So I want to know, do you think it's okay to wear bonnets out of the house? Why or why not?
I don't really think so. I think overall it kind of portrays a bad rep. I mean, I understand bonnets have their place, but I think public perception, especially when you have situations with, people trying to fight with braids in the workplace and stuff like that, it's like the bonnet kind of takes it a step too far.
Have you always thought that way, or were your views shaped by something?
No,
Like your parents?
I feel like I've always felt that way. I was raised based off of my parents, like, no bonnets, no pajamas outside of the house. At least throw on like a hoodie or something like that, but no bonnets.
Do you think that the rest of the world agrees with that?
Not necessarily. I do think that a lot of people are kind of past the point of caring, but I think overall public perception still plays a role here.
As a teenage girl in Atlanta, I hear some of the same phrases pretty often. What is you talking about? Hello? I know you're not leaving the house with that bonnet on your head. And it's so interesting that the same bonnets from 5 years ago that were only meant for the house are now all you see at every crosswalk. Apparently, the bonnet that was just seen as ghetto is now a sign of comfortability. So let's find out. Why are bonnets trending again? And for that, we should give a big thank you to the pandemic. Guess some COVID side effects take longer to wear off. Name 5 productive things you did during the pandemic daily. I got nothing. There was no point to dress up or to keep up with fashion trends. You were in your own house. This was the first shift to casualism. Casualism in fashion represents the widespread shift towards comfort, informality, and functionality as the new everyday style, largely replacing traditional or more structured attire, as comfortable pieces were now worn in professional workspaces. According to newsgallup.com, only 3 to 6% of people continue to wear formal attire after COVID. During COVID, we prioritized comfort, which wasn't a problem because we were only seen from the torso up. The problem with that is that old habits die hard.
This led to people being more open to wearing pajamas in public, which led to bonnets being more common in public. But that's not the only reason. Bonnets simply protect. Here's how.
It's bedtime. You lay down on your pillow, but your pillow isn't exactly the best for your hair, especially if it's cotton. Every night, your head is moving around and that creates friction. Friction is the problem. When your hair rubs up against cotton for 8 hours straight, a few things happen. Moisture gets pulled out of your hair, making your strands rough. Your hair is more likely to tangle because of that, and breaking becomes more of a possibility. Your hair basically spends the whole night being drained by your pillow. Now, here's your hero, the bonnet. The smooth satin or silk surface creates much less friction than cotton, so instead of your hair constantly snagging and rubbing against fabric, it can glide more easily. Less friction means less breakage. Less breakage means healthier hair. Bonnets can also work outside of just going to bed. The environment is filled with dangerous things for your hair. like airborne pollutants. EatHair.com says that smog and microplastics are very bad for your hair. Microplastic dust and gaseous pollutants settle directly on the hair and scalp. This can cause inflammation, disrupt natural oil balances, and restrict nutrient delivery to the hair follicles, leading to thinning and breakage. This is usually seen in cigarette smoke. There's also sweat in fungal environments, warmth and moisture. Hair that is constantly sweaty creates a warm, moist environment on the scalp. This can facilitate bacteria and fungal infections, especially in humid climates like Georgia. So just like a bonnet protects you in your sleep, it also protects you while you're awake. The most common answer I saw on social media was convenience. If you're having a bad hair day, throw in a bonnet. On the way to a hair appointment, just put on your bonnet. Early morning airport trip, put on a bonnet. That's pretty simple to see, but where it gets problematic is the behavior seen in these bonnets. That leads to stereotypes, which is the opposite of convenient. Take a look. Looking through this video and also looking at the comments, I realized something. It's not about the bonnet. It's about the assumptions attached to it. I saw a comment. It said, "I wish I could wear it in public. In my culture, we always present ourselves positively in public because you never know if you see a job opportunity or anything might come. You gotta be prepared." Which there's nothing wrong with that comment. But I wanted to see, why were bonnets seen as unprofessional? What was unprofessional about protecting your hair? So I did some digging. What I saw the most is that bonnets are classified as sleepwear in the workplace, which is why they're deemed unprofessional. What I also saw is that bonnets had a lot to do with the Crown Act. If you don't know, the Crown Act stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair. The Crown Act began in 2014, which was originally a lawsuit for discrimination to natural hair in Alabama and the US military, and workplaces in general. The Crown Act does a few things. It closes legal loopholes. For example, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 clearly states that no person can be discriminated against because of the color of their skin. What it doesn't state is anything about hairstyles. So, hairstyles that the African American community usually wore, like braids or their natural froze, were discriminated against, and there was nothing stopping that. The Crown Act stopped that. It also ends unfair scrutiny. People were being fired because of their hairstyles. The Crown Act stopped that as well. Historically, Black people have always faced discrimination for their hairstyles, which is why it is no different with the bonnet. Professionalism is also based off of Eurocentric beauty standards. Historically, things like straight hair have always been prioritized in the workspace, which is very hard for African Americans to achieve as it's not their natural hair texture. Black people had their natural hair deemed not manageable. It was also labeled as messy and unkept, which gave it the label of unprofessional. And it is no different for the bonnet. This TikTok really stood out to me because it shows how dangerous stereotypes are. No matter if it was in a joking manner, these videos are still harmful because some people truly believe what this video is saying. This makes any woman in a bonnet seem dangerous, which takes us to a whole new level from unprofessional. Bonnets are deeply rooted in African American culture. They help shape hair and the world today. Anyink.com says, "For women with textured hair, the bonnet is more than a nighttime necessity. It's a cultural icon, a symbol of self-care, and a quiet act of resistance." The history of the bonnet is intertwined with the African American experience, reflecting decades of beauty standards, resilience, and the evolution of textured hair care. Bonnets in African American culture originate after enslavement and take inspiration off of African head wraps. According to HelixHairLabs.com, head wraps reflect wealth, ethnicity, maternal status, and even your emotional state. Knowing the importance of bonnets to African American women, they were then used against them after enslavement. Black women were not allowed to be seen in public without a bonnet on, but they refused to let the bonnet become a tool of oppression. Black women began using their head wraps as a form of cultural expression. They chose beautiful fabrics and decorated them in jewels and feathers. truly beautiful. Bonnets were seen again among African American women during the Civil Rights Movement. After years of perms and hot combs to keep their hair manageable, Black women finally started to accept their afros around the 1960s and 70s. Natural hair came with its own set of struggles. Natural hair is more prone to breakage than straight hair is. To combat this, Black women wore silk or satin bonnets to keep their hair healthy. Bonnets are often connected to the resilience and acceptance of natural hair among African American women. Bonnets are not just protection, they're also symbols for everything the Black community had to overcome. But what do you think? Is it time to adopt this new way of comfortable living? Or are we just getting lazy?